Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited about the shifts and changes, and what I'm finding is I'm losing energy for this and more energy for that. There's a shuffling going on for me, so I don't know what's going on for you guys. But I thought, sharing where up to where we are now is always good. So with that, that's the purpose of the circle, is to share information I received on my trip and also as of today. So welcome. And as always, we are meeting on the sacred ground of sovereignty, and we call in our teams of guidance, of protection, of safety, of love, and holding space with us in this massive time of change. We've redefined the word interesting to mean magical, empowering, expanding, and all that is good. And this is certainly interesting times. So I'm grateful for Gaia for allowing us to be on her surface, for being now a part of that female mission. And we are focusing on that today because it's also allowing the restoration of the male mission, which is coming into play more and more. So we're grateful for those who have been with us over the years and even in the last year, holding space for such amazing shifts possibles as we see also what needs to be moved back to extinction. So in this conversation, I ask that our platform be lifted into the fourth world, that our divine family, each of us connected to a divine family whose agenda is of all good, whether that agenda was to be strongly guided from within, have clarity of truth, holding that amazing energy that home can be and will be manifested here. Joy, peace, calm, respect. Those divine families are here to bless and lift us with that, as well as that center, the heart center for this earth mission. Newly restored, newly manned, refreshed in energy and in alignment to what has changed, the greater expansion and power we have. We're grateful for their guidance today. So with that, the space is and circle is set. We ask for those who can bring greater clarity as we communicate and talk, be here with us. Circle is set, prepared, and so it is. So let's put ourselves in the circle name where you are on the planet. And what are the quality that you're sensing for yourself today? It might be one you need, or it might be a pain you're feeling. Whatever it is, we'll put it in the field. So Sharon Raji Maynard here on Whidbey Island. I feel like I'm coming out of a little bit of cloudy confusion, but I'm feeling good, and I still don't know what that's going to mean. And with that, I'll pass to Lynn.
Leanne Henriksen, Copenhagen. I don't say I'm confused or anything like that, but I definitely am very curious over what you have received the last week. And the word I would like to put into this sacred circle is trust. Thank you. And with that, Margie, please.
Thanks, Liam. Margie Leister, I'm here in Sandy, Utah. I've been especially aware, which I think will align with what Sharon will share to us today, that the only way through this myth is through the sacred feminine. And so my words for today are Mama Bear Compassion. And Arlie, you're up.
Hi, I'm Arlie. I'm in New Zealand. My word for today is hope. I'm feeling very, very hopeful with all this new information coming through that we have the strength and power to act on. And I will choose Deborah.
Thank you, Arlie. I'm Deborah. I'm in Sanford, where within the last hour we've been under tornado warning, which is like, go take cover, but we're out of it. And my word for today is contemplation, in terms of, in terms of the meaning of reevaluation of going forward. And I will call on Orlando.
Hi, I'm Orlando, joining you all from Gilbert, Arizona. And I'd like to bring in the quality of curiosity. So I'm still learning a lot and definitely curious about what we are going to learn today. And I'll call on Tara. Is Tara there?
Yes.
Hello, it is me, Tara. I'm in the car going to walk my dog at Home Depot. So during this, it's like really hot, so shouldn't have been out. So I won't be on camera. But anyway, I am headed to Phoenix. And my word today, and I do feel, I should say, like a shift into a little bit of softness is what I'm feeling. And for whatever reason, my word is no bullshit. It just keeps coming out in my mind. So that's my word, no bullshit. And I'm on the phone, so I can't see who else hasn't gone.
Alexandra.
Great, pick her then.
But Alexandra, you're muted.
Hey, Tara. Hey, everybody else. My name's Alexandra, and I live down the road in Sanford to Deborah. I brought her here. I needed her energy. I guess the word that I'm thinking about today is wisdom. Wisdom. And I think everybody's gone.
Yep. But Leanne has her hand up. Leanne.
I have my hands up because I wanted to be sure. Does Deborah come from Texas? Did she say Texas?
She'll tell you.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, because I thought I heard Texas.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know, because it's so much in the news now, the floodings. So I was wondering to hear, it's so much in our Danish news, you just can't believe it.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I don't.
So I wanted to know whether Deborah was from, I thought I heard Texas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have anyone from Texas, but there's definitely lots of flooding and kiddos missing. Not a good idea. Okay, so we gather because we are a team. We are a tribe whose values are
May
clarity.
I ask you another question? Sorry, before
Yes.
you go further.
Yes.
Sharon, you are referring to this team that you have, not so much the ones up there, but the women that you have worked with during the tag process during these years, how many of them are there? How many of us are there? Since I believe I'm also one of them.
Yeah, you are. I usually say tribe, but team's a good word too. There's probably 52 on my mailing list of those that I would consider who have and are in some way doing tag or galactic, and a lot of them are doing it within their own world. A lot of people come to the tag healing and galactic healing thinking they're going to maybe take on the tag work, which they do for themselves, and then they find that their own visions and projects start to come to the fore, and so then they begin working on their own. And although they're not active in our circles all the time, they kind of come in and out. I see women's energy groups as the starlings, the birds, the starlings, birds, they come together. It's like they have a common core, and that's our core values. Are quite extensive, but all good. And but we don't stay in alignment with a director in charge. That's not how we fly. We fly around core values. So the tribe is around core values. And so sometimes they're in a circle and then they're off doing a project. And they might take a few with them, but gather along the way. Then they come back and they touch bases. And so we fly like this. So when I say 52 on that base mailing, it's they're not always all together, and sometimes they're out doing their project and then touching in.
Okay,
At
thank
this
you.
particular time, I had somebody ask me if I wanted to help to expand the knowledge into the world, and my answer was no. Right now, what the world needs is those who have learned and deepened and have chosen some part of that work to do. And that's why I want to be with those who are doing whatever part of the work they are doing, you know. And I have no interest in reaching out and trying to bring new people on board. I don't have any interest in building a big mailing list or telling people that they need this. I think it's critically important, but I think right now it's like we've got to apply, learn, share, apply more. And so we're a tribe around values. Values really were set in 2012 at the Grassroots Women's Conference that we held in Seattle. And the women who gathered, there were about 32 of them there. They gathered, they made a list of values of, I don't know, there were about 8 sheets. That's how we used to do it. The sheets on the wall. And we tried to condense those, you know, love, love, love in 3 different places. Let's put love together under one. And the women said, no. Every one of those values were a voice. And they had to remain. And so they're, you know, the list, we have a website holding those values, and they were not condensed. And they remain to today. So today, what we're flying with is clarity, trust, mama bear compassion, hope, contemplation, reevaluation, curiosity, no bullshit, and wisdom. Okay, so I'm gonna. Some of you have, you know, in various circles or classes, have probably heard some of this. I sent a PDF out with more in written form, and like I was saying to Leanne, I took time to get it a little bit understandable. I don't know that it's understandable to anybody else but me, but it is not it is not in any way that could be considered an ebook, or, you know, it's just it's edited to a certain point, and then I had to get out there because whatever it sparked for those reading it was important for them to be sparked or not. So you got it out there. Many of you got that. So on my trip to Utah, which I was going to do a 2-week trip, going through Boise, driving my daughter, my granddaughter, 2 daughters actually, and myself, driving to Portland, from Portland across Oregon, did a hot springs first 2 days, which was great. Just kind of being quiet together, then driving, you know, 5 or 6 hours a day down from Boise to Boise, then to Salt Lake, and visiting my friends and family both in Salt Lake and in Sandy, and then traveling on to the southern part of Utah to go to the national parks there, and then turning around and driving all the way back home. That was the plan. And it was probably about somewhere around the hot spring that I had an inkling that we were not going to go to the southern canyons. My granddaughter really wanted us to see the canyons with her. She's about 32. And I thought that was interesting, that why wouldn't we go to the canyons? But I had that sense that we may not go to the canyons. So we get into Boise, which Boise for me was the place where I learned about affirmations. Oh my gosh, I can participate in my life by doing affirmations. I didn't have to just do what God told me to do. And that was a big wake up place. So Boise was really important to me. It's important to one of my daughters who was with me at the time. It was a major change point. So I guess it's not surprising that when we hit Boise, and at the end of one of our trips, one of our days, things escalated in a way that they do sometimes. And I had in my face the words, just like I would expect and have seen in the past, outsiders who have spoken to me and said, we don't want you here. We don't want you here. You're not going to do that. No, we're not going to allow it. I mean, just roaring in my face. And I went, okay, off the field. It didn't get triggered. I was just aware. And what I did try to do was to calm a situation down, which you can't do best when someone, yourself included, is out of that good mind, values space. The best things for everybody to just go to where they need to go to use the processes to get back in good mind. So fortunately, I had a place to go, which was the lobby of a hotel. Waited there, spent the night at the hotel, woke up the next morning with a floater in my eye, which is often an indication of detached retina. Not a good thing to happen. And yet I knew there was something extremely valuable about this trip. And so I went into energy work about the floater in my eye, which went away in about 45 minutes, with such cloudiness behind, which is normal. That went away. Made decisions with my family that said, I don't think we better go down to the northern end. We're going to cut off that 3 days because this is a little bit tentative, physically tentative, but immediately thank you for the years of knowing and trusting the voice of what I'll call Sananda and all the various teams that we can call you, and you got yours that I could call on and say, what is this all about? And they said, and because I'd had a similar real physical hit about 3 days before Hamas invaded Israel, and I learned after the fact that had happened. I mean, I didn't know they even invaded until a day or two after the invasion, and I was back on my feet. And so I'm aware that for some reason recently, my body is telling me world energy, something's going on in the world. So I went there immediately, not ignoring anything personal I needed to take care of. But I said, what is this going on? And they said, and Sananda said, basically, there's an event coming to the world through the dominators, and we need you to be aware that this trip is not about visiting friends and family, that there's something going on in the world. You have to be you've got to be aware of that too. I said, okay, when is the event coming? They said 2 days. 2 days. That information came on the 19th. I said, okay, is there anything that I need to do then to stop it? They said, it's not about stopping it. It's about knowing how to interact with what is going to be coming. And so I worked energetically on my eye. I worked on my body. I made declarations about how I was going to be safe getting back. Because now my daughter, my granddaughter, they're going like, we ought to get you home. Maybe we got to fly you, gather the family. Who's going to pick you up at the airport? And I'm going like, that's not it. But I didn't, you don't assume, you set declarations. And so my trip back had to be in this kind of safety, my eye safety, my body safety, everybody else's safety. And I worked on that. And then, of course, Trump sent troops or bombs into Iran 2 days later on the 21st. I said, was this the event? And they said, that was the event. Okay, then what do we need to do? And so that opened the door to saying, what do we need to do? Let's go back to the plan. We've been working here with the TAG Galactic. We've been working with a plan that we have always said, and I say this even in your projects. Is there a project plan or plan group that you're working with that's in the higher regions, in the energy spiritual realm? Because you can put together a plan. Why not get help up here? So we always ask, is there a bigger plan that we're a part of? Yes. Is the plan that I'm a part of and getting information about, is it about moving outsiders to extinction? Yes. That's what the plan is. I'm a part of that plan. Yes. So the information I'm getting about what to do and how to do it is in alignment to that bigger plan. Yes. And that's how we've been working for the last, 10 years or so, maybe more. So this time what I did, I said the same thing. I said, okay, is there a plan? There's a plan. And you saw it in the PDF. Yes, there's a plan. And it's got, I think, 11 phases. It'll take 3 months. And I'm going like, whoa, wait a minute. Who made the plan? Is there any team? I've never asked before. Are there any souls? Are there souls who have had female experience in charge of the plan? And the answer was no. Now, why did I ask that question? Why do you think I asked the question? Did star beings in female bodies make this plan? Any answers?
Maybe because you have to take care of that plan.
No.
Please don't tell me there was some outsider influence in there and you're getting a nudge.
No.
Because
Who-
males have made males have made plans before.
Correct. But that's part of the answer, Orlantha.
They were playing the part of what was the word where we did the male cleansing protocol?
Part of it. In the Earth mission, in the original Earth mission, who was given the assignment to design the culture, to make the plan? Who was given that assignment?
Women.
Star beings in female bodies. They were given the assignment and therefore the wherewithal to say, this space of this village is mine. And we sit in circle and we collaborate and we make a plan. And we base the plan on the values we want for our village. And we make a plan and we make policy. We set policy. And then we decide where's the garden going to go and how are we going to do our homes. We are in charge of making the plan. And that was ripped away from us. So all of a sudden, in my mind, the question arises, are there star beings in female bodies who have had female experience, who made or on the planning? No, it's men. And I said, stop then, immediately. And why now could we do that? It's not because the plan before wasn't the highest that could be given. It wasn't because the plan before wasn't created by those of light who wanted the best for us. But we could now call for a different phase because of the work. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking to my dog. I thought I was on mute.
Oh, okay. No. It was because of the work that has been done. I know what's been done in my community. That doesn't mean we're the only ones doing work on female wounding. Totally not. But because of the work that has been done by star beings in female bodies to not just say this is wrong, but to do healing and healing and healing in their way they do it, that our ancestral mothers who are no longer in bodies, but they have remembrance of the wounds, the discounting, the murders, the torture. They have experientials that has refined their voice. Once the lifting of the energy of wound is gone, they have a refinement. They have a strength. They're going to say, don't mess with me. No more bullshit, Tara. No more bullshit. They are now that. So to me, it was like it wasn't possible even a year ago for us to say, stop. I mean, that plan's great. It's got some good ideas in it, but it isn't from those who are intended to make the plan, and that is star beings who have had female experience. So I said, okay, you stop energy action, whatever you can calm down on the planet for the next 24 hours. I don't want the outsider energies to continue as we stop what we're doing in order to come up with a new plan. 24 hours. And 24 hours later, I said, okay, who is in that group? Now, I don't know all their names because there's more, but certainly there is Sophia, Tara, Gaia is part of it because she holds the female for Earth, Grace, Lilith, and those type of women energies, beings who are strong, who are now released back in time, who can come together and said, okay, brought their advisory together. They brought their advisory groups together. They came up with a plan and they said, there are 3 phases to this plan. Now, what I have found in the past, because this question came up, I think, Tara, you asked it, what is the plan? What are the steps of the plan? And I have been told in the past, because of the outsiders overseeing, it's much, much safer for a person or a group to be told, here's the step to take 2 minutes before you take the step. Because if you have it in your mind for 3 days, the possibility that those thoughts will be interpreted and gathered to give the outsider a heads up is totally possible. So the plan. So the plan of women setting the criteria, that there's a ferocity about it. It's like that. Don't step on me. So phase 1 ended, I think, it's already ended. We're in phase 2, which ends on the 8th. Okay. So phase 1 was probably just kind of getting everything moving. And they said they were going after not starting low level ladder, but they're going after the head. And I thought that would mean the manifesting heads on the planet, like going after Trump, going after Netanyahu, going after Putin, going after Steele. That's in my mind. When they said heads, I thought, well, wait a minute, I don't see that happening. And they said, no, 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 no. Those are the puppets. And some of you in the circles or classes got that while I was gone. The puppet are what we're seeing on the planet. These are the puppets. What they were talking about is going after the remaining puppet masters or the originators that are not, they're in Laniakea, they are beyond Laniakea, and they are beyond the wall beyond Laniakea. They're not in our divine families. It didn't start in our divine families anymore. That's gone. It didn't start on the planet. We are not where the masters, the puppet masters begin. They originate out in those bigger worlds, and that's who they're going after. So I checked in, maybe it was last night or the night before, and they said, we're going to activate the vibrational program of Scotty Blaster, which is like Deep Six, the PTO, everything that says identify frequencies that are not of home. They're outside of home. They're not of home. That's outsiders that are not of home. Identify them, neutralize them, unplug them, retract the extensions, and contain them in order to move them into extinction. So taking out not just the root, whatever seeds they planted and roots, and gather them up and holding the plant and the fruit as one whole, but starting with a seed, broadcasting that harmonic, and it's a vibrational harmonic, because in the worlds beyond Earth, numbers, frequencies, songs, colors are what's powerful. And there's I don't know if you are familiar with Richard Reif's work in micro frequencies, in which he measured a healthy heart frequency, a healthy kidney frequency, et cetera, and then his machine, you just get hooked up to electrodes, which then broadcast the healthy kidney vibration, for example, to your body. And pretty soon the kidney starts to align to the healthy kidney frequency. That's the principle. The broadcasting of Scotty Blaster was at 50% of resonance until last night. Then they moved it to 80%. So it's higher frequencies, it's more intense. And tomorrow they're going to put it to 100% frequency, and they'll be finished with phase 2 on the 8th. Okay. I said, what is it we need to do in the process? They said, again, your presence as a being of light, a star being, volunteering to hold the frequency of home, holding the frequency of no outsiders allowed, holding the frequency of all that is good and coming is good is allowed here. That presence is all and rooted into Earth. You're not going to be la landing it. You're going to be holding that light, but you're going to be rooted to Gaia. And in being rooted to Gaia, your presence says to this team and the group of the female planning group is called they're calling themselves the Golden Dragons. You're going to be saying to that whole program through the Golden Dragons, activate the plan. Whatever, activate the plan. You don't even have to know what each step is. That's where trust comes in. And so your presence is in your hands. You can feel if you're out of whack, out of balance, get yourself into that place. What I have been doing is claiming the field, the entire field, from Gaia on and beyond Laniakea. This is the entire field, and I own the entire field. Because I was given the responsibility. I'm a female. I own the entire field. Then I design the field and I say, and the qualities and values that are foundational for this field of life are all good, joy, calm, peace, whatever is divine family, whatever qualities of good you name, I'm holding that as what's allowed on the field. Everything else is to be moved to extinction. And then I can tune into this field of earth life. And I might focus on earth life. I might focus on government. I might focus on a specific issue, but it's only one little garden on the entire field. And that garden, however, has to be in alignment to the entire field, which is all good. So I'm holding my staff in the garden, let's say, of US government. It's mine. And the qualities of that field are collaboration, unity, respect, etc. See, sword in the sky of Sophia. And Sophia, I'm connecting to this greater plan that the golden dragons have now put in place, who are also working with the male components. Activate the plan. Holding that space, being in that sense of, until I'm going like, okay, relax, because now we have it. Or I might hear, hey, send us some more Scotty Blaster. Or I might hear, send some color purple. Or I might hear, can you fill the space with pink? I might hear something specific I can do. Or I might just, it might be enough in any moment that I'm just giving permission, because I am the one with the authority. In that process, there were little, voices that I had that came up. And one of them was, you've heard me say, boy, do I want a cabin in the woods by a running river. And I realized in going to Utah, that has been with me forever. It's not a voice that's new. And here I have this beautiful place, trees. I don't have a river, but why isn't this enough? So I took the time to say, I want to hear whoever is speaking that to me. Are you of the light? Yes. What is it you really are wanting from me? And I heard some parts of myself that you've stopped creating poetry. When was the last time you painted? We are missing that. So it's not, I went, oh my gosh. And they said, that's what we're calling for. And it sounds to you like a cabin with running water, but what we're saying is creativity. Where are you doing that? And they said to me, and if that's not what you want to do anymore, you can release us and we'll just go to have a day at the spa. We don't have to keep reminding you. I went, whoa, no, don't leave yet. I want to now evaluate in this next phase, where do I fit? How much time do I put? Where do I put it? And then what does that mean for the parts of myself? Because we all have aspects of ourselves. Some who, want to do X, Y, Z, and some who, we are not a person. We are a complex soul. But it was time for me to consciously say, what is it that I want to do to continue? Because I'm very committed to extinction of outsiders. But it feels like there is a shift. And I'll tell you what the shift for me is about and toward encouraging those who are feeling called to create community projects of beauty, for lack of a better term. Adding to community, working together in some fashion. I don't feel drawn to do that myself, but I feel that that's the next wave of female participation. What project? It's like, okay, might be a change of career for some. You see, contribution. So then and so that's kind of where I was when I sent out the PDF today. I sat with something totally different, new, but wasn't new. And I'm going to condense it down and I'll send this out as an addition to the PDF. So there is huge, in my experience, huge uprising of the wounds around mothers. The wounds of you as a daughter or as a granddaughter, mothers did something wrong. I was injured by, you owe me, you're bad because of what you did. And it had a lot to do with mothers. So that's what I felt to sit with this morning. And I said, who knows about, because here we are, these women getting free to help us. And yet we also have a huge amount of energy going, like there's a lot of anger, pain, and rage at mothers. We can't do all that is possible with that female leadership and female collaboration if we still have a lot of anger and rage around our mother, our grandmother, our sisters. So this rising up, I think, is calling for the greater healing around mothers. And so I got a lot of, no information would be especially new to you. We know that women, our maternal ancestors did intentionally not harm, but they hid their gifts. They made themselves small. They taught their daughters and their sisters to be small, pull you down. And in the pulling down and in the inability to protect, we had to take whatever torture came at us, targeting came at us. And because on a soul level, there was a knowledge and knowingness that women were supposed to protect, mothers were supposed to protect, even if we were told not. There was a knowingness inside that, where's my mother to protect me? So all of this is up for healing now. So I asked, Lilith said she's going to be in charge. She said, I never let go of that Sophia. I would not let go of the serpent. And you see Sophia surrounded with serpents and what she made to be. She's the evil one. Avoid her. No, she's leading the charge, and it's about healing all of that is shown or seen within sisters, but called the mother wound. What they're going to be doing, they've suggested that it's going to take 10 to 15 ceremonies in the next 2 days. They want it finished in this second phase. So the second phase is hugely about freeing women and uniting women. It doesn't have to be done in circles. I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it in the Monday circle tomorrow. I might send a recording so anybody can do it. We can do it in our own place where we're sitting. I've done 4 so far today. And what I had them do is prepare the space and then gather the pain of the women in pain, and triage them according to the intensity of their pain. That's how I thought to do it first. Because I thought the ones with the most pain would be the ones to come on board first. And they said, no, we want to observe because we don't know if we can trust it. And we don't know that we can be safe. So they observed. We went through the ceremony. And it's a lot about like the initiation of the Sophia initiation with just a little bit different bend. So we did the first initiation, and then we brought together the second initiation, and those with most pain said no, but we're hopeful, but we want to observe this one too. So they did. And then we called for the third group, and the ones with the most pain said, we're ready. But we're not going to do it alone. We are bringing with us the young ones, the youngest ones, those who have been kidnapped, those who have been murdered, those who have watched abuse, those who have been impacted by the abuse and violence, either targeted at them or at their mother. So we've done those 4 right now. Yeah. So that's where we are right now. I feel for myself, I feel such a ferociousness, not mean, but strong. And I can only attribute it to this growing collaborative collective of women who've gone before us and who are now standing and saying, no more, very powerfully. And the other part of that is door opening to those who are, and Leon's one of them, saying, I want to help make a difference through a new method, whether that's art or whether it's story. I know we can make a difference in that way. I think that that's going to be part of phase 3. So that's my info to you. Anything that comes up or questions you might have or additions you could add to that? Leanne, and it looks like Deborah's coming in.
As you were talking, it felt very strongly because I've been working, as you might know, to be a protector of my grandchildren and or children of my age. And you also talked about it twice, actually, in one of your books. I just want to mention that somehow we need to get conversations going, how the younger generation can be protected.
Even participate. There are some that are really including them in good ways too. And I think that is part of that next phase. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah, and in the and that's a good question to bring to the fore. Yeah, so let's sit with that, all and any and all of us, because the protection of is definitely part of what this phase of women standing and say, you're not going to take my kid anymore. You're not going to, no more. We're not letting go of our kids anymore. Yeah, thank you, Lean. Deborah, I saw you moving.
Yeah, 2 things. One, with our kids, I'm already impressed with, like, my 16-year-old granddaughter, who is totally clear on no to this, no to that, anything that's out of line. I mean, she just automatically does it. And then the little kids and some of the littler ones are being raised on, I'm talking about not just because they're girls, but my little ones do these things about saving the world and what they do, and they do their meditations and all the stuff. So they're already getting it from other places. And so I'm really excited actually for them that it'll be pretty easy. And I like the thing about the groups to heal the women and the mother, because it really does need to be done. So many people I know with their kids, they've been fabulous mothers, but it's still, you're the problem and stuff. I was listening on NPR radio when I was driving around this weekend, and they had a person on. They were talking about words, and the word of the year for 2024 was Kamala. Kamala.
Oh,
And it was interesting because they went into it and said, in most elections, she would have been addressed as Vice President Harris and given her title and her last name. But she was always addressed by her first name, which is basically a denigration because, like, President Biden, you wouldn't have said, "Hey, Joe, what do you think about this?" Or "Hey, Donald." You know, you never hear him called Donald, Mr. President, or whatever. And it was just another reminder. And after our talk about the New Zealand Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, it's just how much women are not valued. So in healing the mother wound, I hope that that's going to be getting to this of holding women in the respect that they deserve.
I took this bit about women using their first name, like Hillary also did, as a statement of power for women. It's a new kind of energy, a new kind of leadership. We step out of the power over, I am Vice President so-and-so last name, into I am accessible, I am reachable, I am empathetic, I am here, sort of feminine energy. I took the use of the first name as a real positive sort of thing. And I clearly see the other side where the tradition is that the Mr. or the Mrs. title adds power. But what kind of power? Is that what we really want? So I saw strength in first name. I mean, we know who Hillary is, and we know who Kamala is. Jacinda has kind of moved it a little because she's Jacinda Ardern, not just Jacinda. And that's the way that I see that. I see that as a real taking back of power. Now, I don't know what would happen if your name was Sue, you know, or Betty, or.
Especially if you were a guy, your name was Sue.
Yeah. But I don't think that guys can access this. It's like you said, Deborah, hey, Joe, do you know this, that, or the other thing? Joe is what you call the guy who fixes your car, you know, or not your lawyer.
So we can see it as they're standing in their power and being accessible. But the problem is the men see it as weakness. And so where's that?
But
it's in the healing of the male. It's in the healing of the male psyche. That's where it's at. And that's what we've begun, and that's what's going to continue, because it's in the healing of the male psyche that gets him totally unplugged from that power over model that star beings have been forced into, knowing it is wrong. And so that's what'll be part of the third phase. Absolutely, I'm sure.
So for me, I'd also like to input that they can be taken two ways, like Arlie pointing out, or how Deborah is, because look at nurse practitioners. We do the exact same job. We study out of the same books as the doctors, and yet we're still referred to by our first name. And we spent a lot of years going to school. We have a lot of experience as a nurse in education too, beforehand, which the doctors don't have. And we don't get that recognition. And when you walk in, they're like, I want a real doctor. You're just a nurse. It's like, no. And so it is. And I often would wonder if we were more male dominant, if it would be different. Because even someone who, for instance, a captain of a boat, they're called captain with their name, probably because it's more male dominant. But it's like, I went to school way longer than they did. Or even, you know, a police officer who's still called officer so-and-so. It is like a level of respect. And yes, I can see how it can be considered also power, but it's still, and the human eye, level of respect with a title. And Sharon, I did hear you say something about we're not needing more people now, because I do have a spiritual friend, Marissa, who's very curious, and not curious, I should say very motivated and would like to help us. But now you're saying we don't need that. Is that because the plan is working faster than expected and we don't need those extra people? Can you clarify?
Yeah, creating more circles like this is fine. I don't feel the need to bring people just into, like, I'm not going to do another galactic tag class right now. That's the kind of thing. People who want to learn from the basics and beginning to understand and learn the whole process. That's not where I'm putting my focus. What we got going is a good class. It'll continue. And these circles, doing another circle like this, getting another 6 or 7, like the wingers or the SWWs, the sways. I'm totally up for that, Tara.
Okay, perfect, because that's what she's wanting to do.
Yeah,
So I'll just give her your number and your link to your website.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds good. Leanne? Oh, Arlie? And then
I
Leanne.
have a question for Tara. Is there a title for a nurse practitioner? Would you like to
No.
be addressed as nurse practitioner Raxa? Or
It's I practitioner Raska to me is fine. It's just your name. It's always, here's Tara. It's always been that way. We're just
right,
introduced
but
by
you know,
first name.
doctor is a title that goes before the last name.
Right. It could be practitioner Raska. It could be just something, because we are equals, but they don't refer to us as equals. And because of that,
Yeah.
the patients don't look at us as equals. And some of them
Yeah.
that don't understand will just say, what are you doing in here? I mean, they will literally say that I want a real doctor. You're like, I am. I just started out as a nurse first. So by them putting the word nurse in the title is a complete disservice
Misnomer.
to us. Anyways, it's a disservice because it undermines our capabilities in the eye of the general public. That's all.
Yeah, it's too bad that there really isn't a title for your particular position, because your training is, as you said, first class and should be recognized. Okay, I'm done.
Leanne?
I just want to remark, not just, but I like to remark that actually women are women's greatest enemies.
They have been.
They still
They have
are.
been. Yeah. That's because one of the things, there's many things, but 2 I'm going to mention. When women were put under the thumb of a male, which they did way back at the garden, the man's in charge. So you needed a man to have value or even to survive, right? You needed a man to survive or to have value. And so, you know, if this man, if there's 1 man and 3 women, 3 women are having to compete to survive. In the harems, what did you have to do? You had to push your sisters out of the way in order to have the food for yourself and your children. But also, I've been shown many ancient circles of sisters in which they gathered. They knew they did not have the power to stop invaders. I'll just say invaders because that's a term we understand. And those invaders were going all over many different places, and they'd come into a village, and women would feel or sense that they were coming, or they would send warnings out through the drumming, whatever. So when I've seen circles where they get together, what are we going to do? And they said, we're going to hide our gifts in Gaia. Gaia is holding multiple gifts women have secreted there. We'll hide our gifts in Gaia. So we pretend that we're no threat. And we make contracts to keep. I will promise you, my sisters, that I will be maybe 10%, maybe 15% of what I could be. I'll keep myself small. I promise you that. And in many circles, and I promise you that if I see you getting above 10 or 15%, I'm going to pull you down. I'm going to pull you down to keep you safe. So there's many reasons for that. And a lot of that is part of the healing that's been going on. I know in the tag system, we've been doing a lot of that. And so I don't see it as much as I did like 5 years ago. I know it's not gone yet, but but it's a lot less. And that's the purpose of these healings for sure.
Maybe I don't know, because I'm of course talking from the European standards.
Mm-hmm,
There is a lot of competition among women,
mm-hmm.
and especially when you come up the higher hierarchy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one thing. The other thing is women still want the attention of men,
Oh yeah,
unfortunately.
it's true.
And
One
as
of
a result of which there is still a lot of competition.
mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Arlantha?
You had mentioned getting back in touch with their creative side, possibly switching careers. What does that have to do with this overall plan?
Well, a lot of people are waking up that maybe the systems we've been living in aren't so good for us. Right? And in waking up and saying these systems aren't so good for us is an important voice, like a whistleblower saying that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. We're going to protest, we're going to march, and that's a very important thing. But what is good? The next phase is what is good. There's been this underlying current that I've been feeling. I've been seeing it periodically too, even in the protests, even in the and I'm speaking U.S. political because that's where we see a lot of this. Even in those areas, there's the beginning of first people coming together, meeting a neighbor or another one in the community they'd never known before, and finding they have some commonality. What are they going to do with the commonality? I mean, we could keep saying we don't want, but it's time to add. I have an idea. Would you like to be involved? I have an idea. Would you like to be involved? You see, and with your comment too, Leanne, we have that automatic part of our brain that tells us, be aware there's a change coming. We call it the fear mechanism. Be alert, be alert, be alert. And really it's all about just being alert to a change. Not necessarily that the change is dangerous. Be alert to the change. Well, change has been very dangerous for a long, long time because we'd lost our personal choice and our ability to be safe. So you either fight. Now that's not what a lot of women do. Or you freeze and you become, you just kind of like preach. You just frozen and it looks like you're in agreement. You fawn, bow down to you and placate, and can I be your special one, right? So you can fight, you can freeze, you can fawn, or you can flee. But both freeze and fawn are what looks like, I've got, or I can, try to join and be like one of the guys, which is then being in competition. But either freezing or fawning, it looks like you're, placating, and we have done that for sure. And how long will that take to change? I don't know, but definitely it's that the energy of automatic can be lessened because of the continuing work. So, okay.
Sharon, quick question. You did say 15 ceremonies over 2 weeks. Is that going to be?
No, 2 days. 2 days.
2 days. Oh my God. Okay, so is that going to be? They're saying it's sufficient to clear most of it up if we do that.
It's what they want to have finished by phase 2. It's what they want to have by phase 2. I don't know. Then they'll have to see. Then they'll have to measure. We can measure what impact it's had, but that's what they would like to have done by phase 2. Possibly
done by Tuesday.
By Tuesday night.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then you're going to send something, and then we can just do it on our own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't matter how many people is one person is considered
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
Okay.
One's
That's not
enough.
Okay.
Okay.
you.
Uh-huh. Deborah?
Two things. I'm looking forward to the 8th and seeing how getting rid of the puppet master heads is going to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
And three things. And I have to leave because I have to be somewhere in less than an hour. So I have to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me just say this. Those of you who can say, okay, we've gotten the head contained, ready for extinction. What does that mean? What will you see? How will we bring them in? I mean, is there anything that you might see in your quiet time that said, oh, to the team, have you thought of this, or what can I do to continue participating? Got it. Thank you, everyone.
I did. So I had a quick question, AKA joke. So if the wingers and the sway group get together, are we the swingers?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And what does that mean? We're taking back words, by the way. We're taking back words, which interesting we've taken back. So we can take back the definition of a lot of things and make it our own. So we could be the swingers, and what would that be? Swing and shift.
Yeah, and we can also take back women using their first names and having it be powerful.
Yes, we can. Absolutely can. Yeah. Okay. Love you guys. Until we
Love
meet
you.
again. Off we go.
Much love.
Bye-bye. Much love to all of you.